This desolate valley holds a secret, a horrifying testament to ancient warfare's ultimate brutality. For 400,000 men, hope vanished. Trapped, starving, their fate sealed by a cunning enemy. Behind this devastation stood one man, General Bai Qi, whose genius redefined the very meaning of war. 250,000 buried alive, a single ruthless act that would echo through history forever. Welcome to the Warring States period, a brutal era where ambition, conflict, and survival were the only laws. Across fractured lands, endless conflict raged, states vying for supremacy, forging an unforgiving age of iron. Today, we journey to Changping, the valley where human ambition collided with unprecedented, devastating scale. This wasn't just a battle, it was an epochal clash, a pivotal moment that forever scarred ancient China. 400,000 Zhao warriors crushed, a human cost almost impossible to truly comprehend, even today. But how? What strategic genius orchestrated such a crushing defeat, such an unimaginable military catastrophe? We unravel the profound why, the reasons this single battle changed the trajectory of an entire civilization. Changping wasn't merely a victory, it was the catalyst, the forge, for a unified Chinese empire. Prepare for an in-depth, cinematic journey. We will uncover every layer of this ancient, deadly encounter. Among antiquity's deadliest, Changping stands alone, a testament to unchecked ambition and total warfare. The state of Qin, ruthless and relentless, envisioned a unified China. Their ambition knew no bounds, and Zhao, a powerful rival, stood in their path. Their strength, soon to be shattered at Changping, the collision course was set. Two giants, destined to meet in a battle that would decide their very future. Changping, a seemingly unremarkable valley, became the strategic crucible where empires were forged and broken. Months of frantic preparation, vast armies mobilized. The storm clouds of war gathered, darker than ever. Initial skirmishes quickly escalated, each clash adding fuel to the fire, drawing both empires deeper. There was no turning back. The stage was set for the longest, deadliest siege in antiquity. Join us as we descend into the Valley of Death, where one empire rose and another tragically fell. Centuries before empire, China was a land fractured, a mosaic of warring kingdoms battling for ultimate dominion. 7 powerful states emerged from the ashes of feudalism, each vying for supremacy, their ambitions clashing relentlessly. This was the crucible of conflict, an era defined by brutal warfare and the relentless pursuit of absolute power. Historians named it the Warring States period, a time that would forge the very soul of the Chinese nation. This profound epoch shaped philosophies, military doctrines, and the relentless drive for ultimate unification. Politically, it was an age of radical change, as centralized bureaucracies began to supersede old feudal structures. Intricate court politics and shifting alliances became the lifeblood of survival, dictating the fates of kingdoms. Espionage and deception were crucial weapons, with secret agents infiltrating rival courts to gather vital intelligence. Philosophies like legalism, Confucianism, and Mohism offered competing blueprints for order amidst the chaos. The drive for centralized authority intensified as rulers sought to command absolute loyalty and unwavering obedience. Society was a stark hierarchy, from the powerful aristocrats and landowners down to the common laborers. The vast peasant class bore the burden of war, providing both labor and endless conscripts for the armies. Merchants and artisans gained increasing influence, their wealth fueling the war efforts and reshaping urban centers. Scholars and advisors flocked to powerful courts, offering wisdom and strategy, their intellect a valuable resource. Each state nurtured its own distinct cultural identity, traditions, and unique understanding of its place. Militarily, this era was a furnace of innovation, transforming warfare with devastating new technologies and tactics. Iron weaponry, the powerful crossbow, and disciplined cavalry units revolutionized battlefield engagements forever. Massive conscript armies, numbering hundreds of thousands, clashed in unprecedentedly large and brutal battles. Fortified cities became strategic prizes, defended by intricate walls and besieged with relentless, destructive force. Logistics and supply lines became as vital as battle prowess. Armies moved on the backs of thousands. In the west, the state of Qin, forged in adversity, leveraged its strategic position and vast resources. Qin's legalist reforms instilled unmatched discipline, transforming its people into a formidable and efficient war machine. Through military innovation and relentless expansion, Qin carved out an empire, devouring smaller states methodically. The ambition of Qin was clear: to extinguish all rivals and unify China under a single iron-fisted rule. Qin's formidable strength was a testament to its centralized power and an unyielding commitment to conquest. To the northeast lay the state of Zhao, a formidable power, matching Qin in ambition and military might. Zhao's military prowess, particularly its adaptable cavalry and skilled archers, made it a truly powerful adversary. With strategic territories and abundant resources, Zhao stood as the most potent counterweight to Qin's ascendancy. Deep-seated rivalries, territorial disputes, and conflicting ambitions made a confrontation between these two inevitable. The stage was set for an epic clash of titans, a battle that would forever alter the course of history. Across ancient China, rival states clawed for dominance. Two superpowers, Qin and Zhao, stood on the precipice. The Warring States era, a crucible of ambition and bloodshed, saw kingdoms rise and fall. Tensions constantly simmered. The relentless Qin, an unstoppable juggernaut, devoured its neighbors. Its gaze now fixed on the wealthy lands of Zhao. Zhao, a formidable power in its own right, possessed vast armies and rich resources. They would not yield easily. The delicate balance of power shattered, replaced by an uneasy stalemate. A single spark could ignite total war. Changping, a critical choke point, a mountainous gateway between Qin and Zhao. Its strategic value was immense. This rugged terrain, with its treacherous valleys and crucial passes, dictated the flow of armies. Control was vital. Beyond military might, Changping commanded vital trade routes. Holding it meant economic leverage and regional supremacy. Qin's war machine stirred. Its legions, driven by imperial ambition, advanced on Changping, testing Zhao's resolve. Zhao responded swiftly, every strategic point fortified, every soldier prepared. Defenses rose with desperate urgency. The drums of war echoed across the land. Qin initiated a massive conscription, swelling its ranks for the impending clash. War required more than just soldiers. Qin's vast logistical network meticulously prepared, ensuring a steady stream of supplies. Day and night, Qin warriors honed their skills. Disciplined and lethal, they transformed into an unyielding fighting force. Zhao too called upon its people. Thousands answered the summons, ordinary citizens becoming soldiers, ready to defend. Across Zhao's frontiers, fortresses bristled with new defenses. Every border became a potential battleground. Zhao's seasoned commanders, guardians of the realm, prepared their strategies. Their resolve was absolute against Qin's threat. Qin's shrewd diplomats sought to isolate Zhao, forging new alliances and swaying neutral states through promises and threats. Zhao desperately sought allies, sending envoys to distant courts. They pleaded for aid, knowing isolation meant doom. Negotiations failed, trust eroded, pacts were broken, and the path to peace vanished. War became inevitable. In the shadows, a hidden war raged. Spies on both sides risked everything, gathering intelligence, shaping the conflict. The first blood was drawn. Small, brutal skirmishes erupted along the border, testing defenses and wills. These initial clashes escalated, drawing more forces into the fray. The regional conflict spiraled dangerously out of control. Qin launched calculated probing attacks on Changping's outer defenses. Each strike a test, each victory a step closer. Zhao's warriors met Qin's assault with unwavering resolve. Their initial defiance slowed the relentless Qin advance significantly. Both superpowers now stood poised. The agonizing truth dawned. A prolonged, devastating confrontation was unavoidable. Qin's commanders, cold and calculating, weighed their options. Every strategic decision would carve the path to victory. Zhao's leaders faced impossible choices, their kingdom's fate hanging by a thread. Desperate measures were now considered. King Zhao Xiang's ambition burned fiercely. He envisioned a unified China under Qin, Changping a crucial stepping stone. For King Xiaocheng, it was survival. His kingdom's independence, its very existence, hung precariously in the balance. The fuse was lit. Strategic decisions and individual ambitions had finally set the stage for an epic, brutal conflict. Here, two mighty empires would clash, igniting a brutal conflict that etched itself into history's annals. The Battle of Changping commenced not with a single decisive strike, but a grinding, brutal opening act. This was the dawn of a 2-year stalemate, a test of will unlike any seen before in ancient China. Human endurance would be pushed to its absolute breaking point, forged in the crucible of ceaseless combat. Qin's vanguard swiftly moved to establish formidable initial defensive lines, securing strategic hills and passes. Zhao forces, reacting to the invasion, immediately began fortifying their own positions, preparing for the onslaught. The stage was set. Two impregnable walls of iron and resolve, destined to confront each other. Feeding hundreds of thousands required immense logistical mastery, a challenge testing both empires' capabilities. For Qin, extended supply lines stretched precariously over vast distances, a constant vulnerability to exploit. Zhao's army, though closer to home, faced similar strains as local resources rapidly became depleted. Disease, more deadly than any blade, swept through both encampments, claiming countless lives indiscriminately. Despite the stalemate's initial grip, early tactical exchanges and skirmishes constantly probed enemy weaknesses. Qin, with its superior numbers, relentlessly launched probing attacks, testing Zhao's defensive resolve daily. Zhao's seasoned defenders, under General Lian Po, held firm, repelling every advance with stoic determination. Artillery barrages became a daily terror, raining down destruction, slowly eroding morale and fortifications alike. The Qin commander, Wang He, a seasoned veteran, understood the brutal calculus of this attrition warfare. His initial strategy was clear: relentless, grinding pressure, bleeding Zhao dry through sheer force. Facing him, Zhao's Lian Po, a master of defense, known for his unyielding strategic patience. Lian Po's genius lay in his defensive posture. He refused to be drawn into a decisive, open battle. Two titans, two strategies. Relentless aggression versus unyielding defense, locked in a deadly embrace. Each day brought fresh blood, fresh iron, countless small battles erupting along the entrenched lines. The landscape between the armies became a desolate, scarred testament to the relentless, unforgiving combat. The physical toll was immense, back-breaking labor under the sun, followed by the terror of night raids. Rain turned camps into mud pits, sun brought thirst. Nature itself became another enemy for both sides. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, yet the deadlock persisted, unbroken by either force. Both armies became entrenched, creating vast networks of fortifications mirroring each other across the valley. These were not temporary camps. They were permanent, self-sustaining military cities carved from the earth. Every inch of ground was contested, every log, every stone, a vital component in this grand, brutal design. The cost, both human and economic, was staggering. Empires poured all their might into this single conflict. Wounds festered, medical supplies dwindled. Survival depended on sheer luck and the strength of one's will. Food became a luxury, water a constant concern. Hunger gnawed at the morale of even the strongest warriors. Repeated assaults by Qin met fierce resistance, their grand charges often disintegrating into bloody retreats. Zhao too launched small tactical raids, designed to harass, disrupt, and inflict maximum psychological damage. The lines swayed but never broke. Small victories were won, but the strategic deadlock remained absolute. Frustration mounted for Qin's command. Their superior numbers were being negated by Zhao's stubborn defense. Lian Po's strategy was working, but at a terrible price. Every day bled his forces further. 2 years passed in this agonizing cycle of attack and defense, seasons bleeding into one another endlessly. The sheer scale of attrition warfare tested the very soul of every soldier, every general, every empire. Thousands upon thousands fell, not in grand battles, but in countless forgotten skirmishes and diseases. The psychological toll was immense, a creeping despair settling upon the hearts of men on both sides. This unprecedented period of deadlock forged a generation of warriors, hardened by unimaginable suffering and sacrifice. The stalemate became a war of wills, an enduring test of endurance between two formidable ancient powers. But this deadlock could not last forever. Whispers of change began to ripple through the Qin command. The stage was set for a desperate gamble, a new chapter in this epic, brutal tale of survival. The ancient land of China held its breath. Two mighty empires stood locked in a desperate, grinding stalemate. Months of attrition, endless skirmishes, yet no decisive breakthrough. Frustration mounted on both sides. In the Qin command, a daring, audacious plan began to take shape, born of ruthless strategic brilliance. This was the moment for a masterstroke, a deceptive gambit to shatter the Zhao army's resolve. General Bai Qi, the god of war, saw an opportunity to turn Zhao's strength into its fatal weakness. Zhao's commander, Lian Po, was a seasoned veteran, known for his cautious, impenetrable defensive strategies. His refusal to engage in open battle frustrated Qin, but protected Zhao's precious forces admirably. Qin intelligence meticulously observed Lian Po's temperament, noting his steadfast defensive posture. They understood that a direct assault against such a commander would yield only heavy, unacceptable losses. A different kind of war was needed now, a psychological one, designed to undermine Zhao's leadership. The grand deception began with whispers, insidious rumors carefully planted within Zhao's civilian populace. These seeds of doubt were designed to grow, targeting the very heart of Zhao's military command structure. Forged letters, seemingly from Qin officials, began to circulate, speaking of a critical weakness. The false intelligence claimed Qin's sole fear was Zhao Kuo, Lian Po's aggressive, unproven replacement. This was the serpent's first coil, to portray Lian Po as a non-threat, a commander Qin wished to face. The rumors spread quickly through the ranks, creating unease and questioning Lian Po's cautious approach. In Zhao's court, the seeds of doubt blossomed into a heated debate about the ongoing stalemate. Many felt Lian Po's caution prolonged the war, draining Zhao's resources without a decisive victory. The Qin propaganda was working. It subtly pushed Zhao towards a more aggressive, yet predictable path. Enter Zhao Kuo, a brilliant strategist in theory, yet lacking true battlefield experience. He yearned for glory. Kuo's confidence, born from theoretical mastery rather than practical command, was both his strength and weakness. The king of Zhao, influenced by the whispers and his court's impatience, faced a critical, fateful decision. Against counsel, the king succumbed to the deception, choosing swift aggression over prudent defense. Lian Po, the experienced veteran, was summarily recalled, his steadfast wisdom dismissed for perceived inaction. A somber moment for Lian Po. His years of service, his life dedicated to Zhao, abruptly disregarded. In his place, Zhao Kuo, young and untested, was appointed supreme commander, a pawn in Qin's grand scheme. Bai Qi's deception had worked. The serpent's gambit was now set, Zhao's fate sealed by its own hand. Zhao Kuo immediately reversed Lian Po's defensive stance, eager to prove his theoretical brilliance in battle. He ordered the entire Zhao army to prepare for a massive, decisive offensive, abandoning years of careful strategy. The mighty Zhao force, hundreds of thousands strong, marched into the open plains, a colossal target. Bai Qi watched, his trap slowly closing around the unsuspecting, overconfident Zhao general and his army. Unknown to Zhao Kuo, Bai Qi had already dispatched elite Qin cavalry to encircle their flanks. The Qin forces, feigning retreat, lured Zhao Kuo's eager army deeper into a treacherous, confined valley. Kuo, believing Qin was in full retreat, pushed harder, eager to achieve the decisive victory he craved. Behind Zhao's main force, Qin's hidden detachments moved to cut off their lines of communication and supply. The trap was sprung. The vast Zhao army was now completely encircled, isolated in a desolate valley. Zhao Kuo's aggressive gambit had led his entire army into Bai Qi's meticulously crafted, deadly embrace. Panic began to ripple through the Zhao ranks. Supplies dwindled, hope faded with each passing desperate hour. Bai Qi's tactics were brilliant and ruthless. He tightened the noose, allowing hunger and despair to take hold. There would be no escape, no mercy. Only the crushing weight of Qin's strategic dominance awaited them. Repeated desperate attempts to break the encirclement were met with fierce resistance from Qin's unbreakable ranks. The stage was set for the ultimate doom of the 400,000 Zhao warriors, starved and utterly hopeless. Qin's deception had delivered them an entire army, vulnerable and ready for the final devastating blow. The Battle of Changping was about to witness a catastrophe unparalleled in ancient Chinese warfare. The end approached. The trap was sprung. Qin's iron grip tightened, ensnaring hundreds of thousands of Zhao warriors in a deadly embrace. Panic rippled through the Zhao ranks. An entire army, cut off, now faced an unimaginable, suffocating doom. Day by day, the Qin noose tightened. The once proud Zhao army found itself staring into the abyss of its own making. Food became a distant memory. Starvation began its insidious crawl through the Zhao camp, a silent, deadly enemy. Water sources dried up, turning once life-giving streams into barren cracks. Thirst became an unbearable torment. Hope, a fragile ember, flickered and died. Morale plummeted as the grim reality of their situation took hold. Their general, Zhao Kuo, faced an impossible choice. His leadership, once resolute, now fractured under immense pressure. Desperation breeds depravity. Whispers began to circulate, hinting at the unthinkable acts required for survival. With dwindling strength, the Zhao prepared to strike. Their only hope, a desperate suicidal charge to break free. The clash was ferocious, a raw display of will against starvation. But Qin's lines held firm, unyielding. Broken and depleted, the Zhao retreated. Their desperate gamble failed, leaving only more dead and fading hope. Starvation invited another enemy, disease. Plagues ravaged the weakened army, claiming lives without a single sword stroke. Under the cloak of darkness, smaller groups attempted to slip through. Each attempt met with Qin's vigilant, brutal efficiency. Capture was a grim fate, often a prelude to a swifter end. The cost of escape attempts proved devastating. Days bled into weeks. The once mighty Zhao army was reduced to starving shadows, trapped in a living hell. From their fortified positions, Qin's commander, Bai Qi, watched. His resolve was unshakable, his strategy mercilessly effective. No relief columns arrived. The distant promises of aid were empty words, leaving the Zhao utterly abandoned. In a final desperate act, General Zhao Kuo led a charge. His sacrifice aimed to carve a path to freedom. But destiny was sealed. Zhao Kuo fell, pierced by Qin arrows. The heart of the Zhao resistance ceased to beat. With their commander dead, all semblance of order vanished. The remaining Zhao forces descended into utter disarray. There was no escape, no hope. The agonizing decision to surrender became the only choice for survival. For now, under a white banner, envoys approached Qin, humiliation etched on their faces, seeking terms from their conquerors. Bai Qi's demands were absolute, unconditional surrender. The fate of hundreds of thousands rested on a single nod. The long, agonizing march began. Weapons, shields, and pride were cast aside, a symbol of ultimate defeat. An entire army, once proud and fierce, now marched as captives. Their fate, uncertain, lay entirely in Qin's hands. Bai Qi faced a monumental dilemma. 400,000 prisoners. Feeding and transporting them was a crippling burden. Survival of Qin demanded ruthlessness. Bai Qi's mind raced, calculating the grim strategic necessities of war. The decision was made, a chilling order that would forever stain the annals of military history with unparalleled horror. A sinister division began. Younger, able-bodied captives were separated, destined for a far different, cruel fate. They marched, unknowingly, towards their graves. The desolate valley awaited, a silent witness to impending atrocity. Giant pits were excavated, not for battle but for an unthinkable purpose, a testament to Qin's brutal efficiency. The chilling truth dawned. These were not prisoner camps. They were mass graves, prepared for an unspeakable act. The slaughter began, swift and brutal. Unarmed Zhao warriors, betrayed by surrender, faced their ultimate, horrifying end. Thousands upon thousands fell. The earth swallowed them, a silent testament to the unimaginable scale of Qin's brutality. Earth piled high, concealing the atrocity. The mass grave of Changping became a chilling monument to warfare's darkest side. 400,000 souls extinguished. A population vanished in a single, brutal act, forever scarring the land. Militarily, it was genius. Morally, an abomination. Bai Qi's victory secured Qin's dominance with horrific cost. The echoes of their screams, though silenced, resonate through history. Changping stands as a stark warning to humanity. This unthinkable act cemented Qin's reputation for ruthless power, a precedent of terror rarely matched since. Centuries later, the debate rages. Was it a strategic necessity or an unforgivable crime against humanity? The horror of Changping lingers, a testament to unchecked ambition and the ultimate price of military dominance. Qin rose to empire, powered by such brutal victories. But the ghosts of Changping forever shadowed their legacy. An empire forged in blood and iron, the cost of unity often paid in the unspeakable suffering of millions. Changping reminds us, victory can be absolute, but humanity's true measure lies beyond mere conquest. The dust settled over Changping, revealing a catastrophe beyond comprehension. Zhao's army was gone. Garrisons once teeming with warriors now stood silent, their defenders sacrificed. A nation's strength vanished. 400,000 elite Zhao warriors, the very backbone of their military, perished in this single, cataclysmic engagement. With the veteran ranks decimated, Zhao was forced to scrape the barrel, conscripting its youngest and least trained. The invaluable experience of generations was lost forever. Future battles would be fought by green, untrained youths. Not just men, but strategic reserves of weapons, food, and vital resources were utterly exhausted. Zhao's ability to wage war, to even defend itself, was crippled. Its future now lay vulnerable and exposed. The demographic catastrophe began. Every family, every village, was touched by the unfathomable loss of sons and husbands. A generation of fighting-age men was simply erased. Zhao's future was missing its most vital segment. This void would ripple through Zhao for decades, impacting birth rates, labor, and national vitality. Within the royal court, the tragedy fueled bitter accusations and ruthless power struggles for control. King Shaocheng bore the crushing weight of his kingdom's demise, his authority severely weakened by the defeat. Discontent brewed in the provinces. The state's inability to protect its people bred resentment and rebellion. Zhao's economy collapsed. Trade routes lay abandoned, and markets, once vibrant, now echoed with emptiness. Without men to till the fields, essential agriculture suffered devastating blows, threatening famine across the land. The state treasury, emptied by years of war and indemnity, offered no relief. Zhao was utterly bankrupt. Changping was not just a battle, it was the irreversible turning point, sealing Zhao's tragic fate. There was no path to recovery from such a profound military, demographic, and economic catastrophe. The spirit of the Zhao people, once fiercely proud, was utterly shattered. Hope dwindled with each passing day. A pervasive sense of despair blanketed the nation, eroding morale and the will to resist. The Qin threat, once held at bay, now loomed larger and more terrifying than ever before. Changping marked the end of Zhao as a truly mighty state, leaving it vulnerable to its relentless enemy. The echoes of Changping would resonate through history, a chilling testament to absolute military annihilation. The Battle of Changping was more than a victory. It was a cataclysm that reshaped the very fabric of ancient China. Zhao, once a formidable rival, lay broken, its military might and manpower irrevocably shattered by Qin's brutal efficiency. This decisive blow created a monumental power vacuum, leaving other states vulnerable and exposed to Qin's ambition. Qin's strategic position became unassailable, with no comparable force remaining to challenge its burgeoning dominance. Changping taught Qin the brutal effectiveness of total war, pushing resource mobilization to unprecedented levels. The victory underscored the absolute necessity of unified command, where every action served the singular goal of triumph. Qin learned the power of attrition and psychological warfare. Breaking enemy will long before the final clash. Beyond immediate conquest, Qin's strategists internalized long-term lessons, preparing for an even grander vision. With each victory, Qin consolidated its power, absorbing conquered lands, resources, and populations into its growing empire. Ruthless administrative reforms and economic policies further strengthened Qin, weaving disparate regions into its dominion. Massive infrastructure projects like roads and canals facilitated rapid troop movement and economic integration across Qin's realm. The Qin army, honed by relentless campaigns, transformed into an unstoppable professional war machine unmatched by any. Through shrewd diplomacy and intimidation, Qin masterfully isolated its rivals, preventing any unified opposition from forming. Internal stability and unprecedented centralized control laid the bedrock for Qin's ultimate ascendancy and imperial ambition. Changping solidified Qin's reputation, instilling fear and awe among its adversaries, who now knew its terrifying potential. The Qin war machine was now perceived as an unstoppable force, its victories legendary, its purpose unwavering. Other states either crumbled under Qin's pressure or futilely attempted to emulate its superior military strategies. The psychological impact was immense. Resistance often seemed futile against an enemy seemingly destined for conquest. Changping directly paved the way for Qin's final brutal campaigns that systematically crushed the remaining warring states. From the ashes of Changping emerged Qin Shi Huang's audacious vision, a unified China under a single supreme emperor. The bloody lessons learned at Changping were the final nails in the coffin for the age of fractured kingdoms. Thus, the Battle of Changping directly led to the establishment of China's first unified empire, a monumental transformation. The ghosts of Changping's fallen warriors ultimately laid the foundation for an empire that would shape Chinese history forever. The sands of Changping still whisper a chilling tale, an enduring legacy forged in blood and despair. Changping stands a chilling testament, revealing the true scale and brutality of ancient warfare's unforgiving might. Witness the colossal scale, the raw, unbridled brutality that defined conflicts in this forgotten age. This was no mere skirmish. Changping endures as antiquity's longest, most grueling military confrontation. Its monumental significance, the deadliest battle ever fought, a catastrophic loss of life echoing through history. Modern archaeology slowly unearths the grim truth, revealing tangible evidence of the battle's horrors. Beneath the earth, mass graves speak volumes, silent witnesses to an unimaginable, ancient tragedy. Changping indelibly shaped Chinese identity, a somber lesson etched deep into the nation's collective memory. It profoundly influenced military thought, a stark reminder of war's ultimate, devastating consequences for all. Thus concludes our journey into Changping's abyss, a defining chapter in ancient military history. Join us next time as we delve into more epic tales of heroism, sacrifice, and unrelenting historical conflict. If you found this journey impactful, please like this video to support our channel and historical exploration. Subscribe now to never miss another deep dive into history's most compelling and cinematic moments. Share this documentary with fellow history enthusiasts for more cinematic insights into ancient warfare.